No.
And hello. Season 2, episode 12 of RWBY. Zero interest. Hi, he's Zero. I'm Casey. So, Zero, your face tells me you have thoughts. So, let's go with overall impression first.
That's not nearly as strong of an ending as one would hope for, I suppose. I had my hopes up a lot with, this will be like something big. Something big's gonna happen, and then it got resolved. And that kind of doesn't sit well with me. It got resolved in like less than half of the episode.
Yep. So, I didn't tell you any of that because I wanted you to form your own conclusions. You formed basically the same ones that I did. And they basically, more or less, haven't really changed much. You know, for me, at least. Even in hindsight, it's kind of a weak source ending. But
What was
that being said, you know, I just wanted to get the tone of where this is going to go out front because I could see from your face that this was where it was going to go. So, let's go back to the top of how we usually start the show. Synopsis sizing.
Yeah. So Jean wakes up. There's his phone there, and it's like, oh, I got a call from RWBY, but like it was all like battly, and there's something wrong. So he gets his team together. Like, RWBY's probably fine. Nah, don't worry about it. We should worry about our own mission.
Yeah, to be clear, he gets his team together for the mission that's supposed to be going on.
Yeah.
And they're like, don't worry about it, it's no big deal. And then I guess you could call it a Grim Raid siren, is going off, and there's a smoke in the distance.
Yeah, and so they see Vale is under attack. So they head there instead.
We're changing our mission. Everyone on board. Ren, we'll make it out to that village another time.
And Cinder and her team are like, that wasn't supposed to happen yet. Well, let's go see what's going on. And so they all head over there, and Team RWBY is fighting the Grim. And like comparatively, this particular like these fights that they're doing right now with Team RWBY, not the best, honestly. Honestly.
Not really.
No, it's like I mean, we've had some great fight scenes in the past where you fully utilize all the characters' like abilities and personalities, but this just kind of felt par for the course, I guess.
It's a fairly standard fight.
Yeah, and then Jean's team shows up, and they all go out and they're starting attacking things, and then Jean fights an Ursa.
Totally fine. Done this before.
By himself, like a real man.
And wins. And that's probably actually the most significant thing that happens in this fight. Really. Just the whole thing. But, you know.
Team Velvet shows up. So does the Sun and Neptune. The Sun and Neptune actually do nothing.
Do literally nothing.
They
They just show up and say, "Hey, nobody move. We've got badges," and just stand there for the rest of the fight, assumedly, because we don't see them again.
The military shows up. They send in all the robots
that are demonstrably kind of shit compared to huntsmen and huntresses, like even student ones. But
yeah, you have tons of them.
You get enough of them, you win anyway. So
so
then we have you call it Velvet's team. It is Team Coffee, CFVY. Yeah, they show up, and this is basically, hey, look how badass this team is.
I bet you we can't wait to see them in the tournament arc.
You're fishing.
So, no. I'm just saying that's like the whole, hey, look at these guys. Cool. Bet you can't wait to see them in the tournament arc.
Basically. Also, I know you probably didn't notice it, but at one point while they're fighting, Velvet looks about to ready her weapon, and her team leader, who's named Coco, by the way, is like, "No, don't use that. You've been building that up all semester." That's kind of a dick move in joke, because they spent all this time building up Velvet as a strong, competent huntress, despite her being, wimpy and kind of lame in the first season. But again, retcon, whatever, you're fine with it, so whatever. So they built her up as strong and capable and all this stuff, and were teasing what she can do. And, basic implication was we were going to find out in this episode. And they basically say, nah, just save it, it's not worth it.
Which is more disappointing than, like, oh, she's, like, it's not hype building, it's hype dampening.
Yeah. It's like, and, hey, we built this thing up all this time. Look at the hype train building and building and building and building, and fuck you, and not giving you anything.
Her team is cool. You have the guy with the punch swords, and you have the guy with the big sword, and you have the girl who's the leader, and she looks really cool. I like her design, and I like her weapon, which is a giant Gatling gun. And
I'm not going to ask you to guess who any of these people are. Team leader is named Coco Adele. I'm going to ask you to guess again. It's one you're not going to get because it's stupid.
I don't know.
Coco Chanel.
Who's that?
Fashion designer. Hey, you destroyed my favorite clothing shop, remember?
I know that line. That's the only line that would make you think that.
And the name. That's literally all we have to go on, so people are just assuming that's what it is.
It really doesn't go with the theme, really. But whatever. Like, if you could try hard enough and find a good answer for that, but a better name, I'm fairly certain there's one out there.
It's kind of weak sauce. I mean, it doesn't always go with the theme of, hey, these are storybook characters. Sometimes
I expected her to be history, was what I was thinking. Was that she'd be like a historical character, like a general or something, with all the bullets that she had the first time we saw her. And
technically speaking, she is a historical character. She is in history.
Yeah, but I was expecting more. I guess
significant in her field. So I'm just rationalizing, to be honest.
The two teachers, by the way, Oobleck and the dog, come out of the tunnels, and the dog gets a spotlight. And I'm starting to care less and less about this dog the more I see it.
Fun fact: he pretty much goes away after this season. Actually,
it's just like, why?
I don't actually remember seeing him at all in season 3, and I know he hasn't shown up in season 4.
Oh, so he disappears after this?
Pretty much.
All right. Because it's like, I mean, the dog shows up in the mail randomly, and you're told, "Oh, look at this dog! I love it! I love it! I love it! It's now a team member. It now can be used in the fastball special."
Yeah, we're going to take him on a mission, and he's going to be useful. He's not useful on the mission. Hey, I'm going to use him in the fight, and there's no point in it. You could have just hit it normally, and it would have been fine, and it would have done the same thing. Hey, why don't you go and help Professor Rublek, Dr. Rublek, fight? We don't see him actually do anything to help. We don't actually... Well, technically, we don't cut back to that fight, but that doesn't help him seem more important at all. It's just
the thing about dogs in fiction is that in order to endear somebody to a fictional dog, you have to either A, have that dog be like cute and lovable, but not like overly saturated and like stated. You need to have that dog, like you need to be able to form a connection with the dog.
Or you need to see the connection between the dog and the other characters, and it feels like they almost try to do that. Like, they didn't try, but they almost tried to do that.
Yeah. Alternatively, you have that dog be very competent at something. You know, like, that's a useful dog. Bring that guy along.
The Fable.
Especially in this show.
Yeah. Like, that's another way to do it. It's usually less successful, but it's another way to do it. But
it's another way to do it.
And they don't really do that either.
Yeah. It's the way they could have done it in the show with how little screen time the dog gets, considering he shows up like halfway through the season.
Yeah, they literally say at one point, "Hey, this dog could be really useful for like being a huntsman or huntress," because Grim ignored them and nothing does nothing.
So then Glenda comes up, fixes the hole, and everything's fine again.
Yep. In fairness, they foreshadowed that in the first episode, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's just... What was the point of that? Like, what was the point of Cinder's plan?
You remember the first season, how it felt like it was all just setting up, like, the most basic stuff?
Yeah.
This is the next level of that setup. So it's even more setup for the thing that's going to pay off next season. So,
like, I am going to say it is a disappointing resolution.
Yep.
Because I get that it was basically just an excuse for action, showing off a few more characters. But at the same time, like, I don't feel like anything really changed, and I feel like that's a problem for your season finale.
Like, here's the thing. This isn't a good resolution for a season when, you know, these come out yearly. Oh, great. Thankfully, it does pay off, and it pays off pretty well, but it's not really a... Oh, I see where they were going with everything, and it all fits together, and it's so amazing. It's more of a, oh, thank God the season 2 actually had a point. So,
I mean, the last couple episodes, the setup of like we have to treat everything maturely. We can't be like kids. Things are serious.
And then it gets a storybook ending.
Yeah, that's where I have the main problem. Like, I was like thinking, oh man, somebody's going to die, because that's what they've set this up for. That's what they build this up to. Something is going to happen that will change the world in some way, significantly.
Some of the civilians died. They don't show it, they don't mention it, but presumably some of them died.
RWBY says they were just injured.
Sure. And we definitely know that some of the White Fang members died, because they say some of the White Fang members died.
Yeah.
But another thing about this is, I've been calling them seasons for this whole thing. There is technically a reason they call them volumes instead, because the original intention for how the whole structure of the story was going to be laid out was it would be 3 volumes to 1 season. So, technically, this isn't a season finale.
Well, that's kind of BS.
Yeah, pretty much. That's why I call them seasons instead, because don't front, basically. I feel like we kind of just went off on a tangent in the middle of doing the synopsis. I don't think we have to finish
okay, here's what happens next. They're all sitting and all Team Ruby is sitting down and they have the dog and they're like, well, all's well that ends well. We have some bad guys behind bars, but we can still get more. Yeah, it's all gonna be okay. All right, cool. Yay, teamwork, friendship, camaraderie, yay. And
then we get the implications stuff, which is... This is basically the setup for what happens in Season 3.
We have... Yeah.
Go ahead.
Ozpin speak to a council, and they're like, okay, so what the heck was that? We're doubting your position now. Ironwood's going to maintain the security for the
Vital
tournament. Yeah, for the Vital Festival. And afterwards, we're going to have a serious talk about your job.
Because Ironwood has told us some worrying things. Ironwood told them some worrying things.
Yeah. I'm starting to think Ironwood has some sort of plan or something. I don't know. I don't really trust him 100%.
Yeah.
And then we have... what is it? Yeah, then we have Torchwick in prison. And Ironwood's like, hey, you want to talk? And he's like, no, screw you. And he's like, all right, cool. Well, you'll be here for a while. And he's like, okay, cool. It's basically... Yeah. And it makes me wonder if their plan is to, like, I don't know, during the tournament, since Ironwood's going to be taking care of security, or if they're going to, like, hack Ironwood's robots with that communications tower thing and then just cause havoc and kill everyone. It's a guess. That's what it seems to be setting up.
Well, it's a communications tower. It controls communications, but...
Yeah.
I
think if this is actually set up, then their goal would be most likely to get Ironwood into a position where they could use him in some way. Because, like Cinder says, this was successful. She doesn't, like, even though it was way too early and it seems to have done nothing.
It was way too early, and it damaged our relationship with the White Fang, maybe.
That's fine.
But then Adam shows up and says, don't worry, they'll listen to me.
Yeah, and his voice acting immediately is much better than the one in the trailer. Immediately.
In fairness, his line here is actually meant to be in a menacing tone, rather than just, what about them? Just weird.
Also, his character model looks dope, so...
Your audio...
Cool to see him.
There we go. Fixed, sorry.
Cool to see him. Is it low?
It was. It's fixed. Don't worry about it.
Alright. And then we have credit scene, and we see the girl we see the lady we saw earlier take off her mask, and she has black hair that looks exactly like Yang's. And Yang is also there. And red eyes, exactly like Yang's.
And a facial structure that is very similar to Yang's.
So, I'm guessing mom or family member of Yang?
Yeah, it's a mom.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a good thing, because my other option was kind of really dumb.
What was the other option? I'm curious.
Since I've been playing a lot of Dragon Ball Fusions lately, I was like, it's Blake and Yang from another timeline fused.
That would have been cooler.
Because I was like, there's the black hair and the red eyes.
In fact, I can kind of see that. Like, adopting the White Fang iconography as well and everything. I can totally see that.
Using a sword like Blake does. Yeah. That would have been pretty cool. But... yeah, it's Yang's mama. And that was Ruby's mama, because like red and black is Ruby's thing.
Ruby takes after her mom. Yang takes after their dad.
Well, that's something to... That's a horse of a different color. So, that's how that episode ends.
It's not great.
It's really not. Like... I was really excited. You know? Like, this season had some rough spots, but there was lots of good character stuff.
Yep.
And there's lots of development and sort of moving towards that tone shift of, you know, everything won't be all right in the end. We won't necessarily have a happy ending all the time. And then they give us a happy ending.
Yeah, you're in exactly the same place I was when I watched it. It wasn't great. Again, they can tout the, hey, it's 3 volumes to a season, so we're not done yet thing, but it's bullshit. You know,
yeah.
You're gonna stop production for 6 months, then yeah, the season is over.
You know, and even then, like, this would be like at least similar to a mid-season finale.
Yeah. Considering
how short season 1 is. So you can't just, I don't know, it feels just lazy in some ways. Like, you could have had some actual consequences show up and be like, okay, things happened. I was half expecting Team RWBY to be responsible for, like, making this happen or something, or being held like, okay, we need to have a serious talk with you girls about what happened and the fact that you, like, I don't know. I was expecting something.
Yeah. It kind of feels like there should have been something. Like, hey, this was a really bad situation. You probably saw people die. Maybe we should give you a counseling session or something so you can get past that and continue doing your job where you will continue to see people die. Seems like something they probably should have done, but they don't.
Yeah. I mean, the fighting wasn't particularly interesting. I mean, season 2 finale. Or not season 2. Season 1 finale with Penny.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was spectacular
Penny
to the point that I forgot how good it was.
Yeah. She has tons of swords popping out and she's fighting, and then she fires just a giant sword laser and it's like, oh, that's so cool. And
Sun has his staff chuck shotgun thing fight with Roman, and that was cool. And Blake does some stuff that is actually kind of lame by comparison to what everyone else is doing, but that's pretty much what she does through the entire show, so that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was all really impressive and everything, and then this one just kind of was a damp squib by comparison.
I mean, Nora showed up and hammered something once.
Yeah. And then she was gone. And Ren probably did something, and Pyrrha stabbed a couple things. And
Ren did a little bit of something. Like, there wasn't anything overly impressive other than, oh, hey, that girl has a Gatling gun.
Yeah.
That girl that we've barely met and know nothing about.
Also, incidentally, we spent about 8 seconds on Team Nipper, and then John gets like 30 seconds all to himself.
Yeah.
Shocker.
I mean, I guess it's like, here's character growth of now he can actually fight something. Mm-hmm. So, I understand, but, like, the problem is, this episode is 17 minutes, but it feels like so much shorter.
Yeah, it felt like 6.
Especially when the credits take up like 4 or 5 minutes of that. I've always been of the belief that the finale of something should be longer because there's more you're going to have to deal with. Like even the Westworld finale was an hour and a half because they dealt with a lot of serious stuff and it was well paced and it was done well. But if you want to have the finale, which is typically tends to be like more, especially for this show, would be more spectacle based with the fighting. Do it. Yeah.
Do it well.
Overall,
yeah.
Yeah. Overall, I'm in general just disappointed with this episode.
Overall, I want to do another episode after this so that you can feel good about the show again.
Fine.
I like, you are so down on this now that I kind of don't want to leave you hanging like this. I mean, I get it, but god damn.
I was like, oh man, things were gonna happen, and then things didn't happen, and that's the worst feeling. Is when you feel like the show's going to finally do something really like that hasn't done before, and then it just does what it did before.
I would make a reference to another hype train that crashes, but whatever reference I make would be incredibly dated by the time this comes out. We have like 2 months of episodes. So, oh well. Yeah, the hype train crashed. It had no brakes, you could say.
It crashed right into Vale. And then was fixed.
Immediately. But the hype was still gone, so.
And the hype train still's buried.
That's a good point. Right. Where the fuck did the train go? That thing barreled through that wall and it was just gone afterwards.
Don't worry about it. It's like in the previous episode where we had, the teacher and the dog running off in the background, and then the next time we looked in that direction, it was just Team RWBY members, and he was gone, and the mech was gone.
Oh well, whatever. So that was the season finale for season 2, and it was shit. It kind of was. But now we get into the best season of the show. Like, season 2 was dense with some important stuff when there was important stuff to do. The rest of it kind of fell flat, but the important stuff was really good. Season 3, important stuff happens all the way through, basically. And even the fluff bits, there are fluff bits. It's a tournament arc, so you get the fun fight scenes that are just there to be fun. They're great too, so,
If I didn't know that a tournament arc was next, I might not be inclined to necessarily continue. But the fact that there is, and a tournament arc is my favorite arc of any story, I'm really excited.
Okay, so that was that. It was kind of pants, and now we can move on to better things. Yay.
Yay.
I feel like I say that too much when we're talking about the show in hindsight, but whatever. So, thanks for watching. We'll be back with more in a few days.
Yeah.